Part 1 of Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 2 started off with a bang, and we've gotten a plethora of cool posters to go along with it. But one day, I thought of the Blood Moon, and a pretty twisted idea came to mind. What if the Blood Moon actually had blood? I wanted to take the Blood Moon concept to a much darker level by having blood drip from the moon and down onto the poster. Don't ask me how I came to that revelation, but I was so invested in the concept that I had to see what it would look like in execution. I have no idea what it will look like, but sometimes we just gotta see things through to the end. Without further ado, let's go on to Photoshop and shed some blood. So the concept I had in my mind was to have the Forbidden Five placed in the middle of the moon to visualize their connection to the ritual that was required to bring them back from nether space. The first thing I did was masking them out in an oval shape and having the brush's hardness at a low setting. I then brought in the Shadow Dojo and cut it out using the pen tool. Next, I pulled a screenshot of Lloyd's vision and masked it out to add some action to the poster. A bit of foreboding action, but action nonetheless. I then masked out the moon itself since I was planning on placing a dark background behind it. I then colored the Shadow Dojo red as well as making the background color purple. I then used the pen tool again to crop out an image of Ross and Jordana since they are the primary villains aside from Cinder of Season 2. And there we go, they're cropped out. Next was time for the main attraction, the blood. I cropped each image of them out and dragged them to the corners of the temple to make it seem like the shape of the building was covered in blood. After using the lasso tool to crop out each droplet of blood and placing them onto the corners of the temple, I used the same color of red to cover the droplets of blood. I also used the bevel and emboss tool to make the red cover seem more three-dimensional. Brought the image of Ross and Jordana in front of the dojo and behind the image of Lloyd and the Wolf Clan members. This was my favorite part of the poster, having the Forbidden Five trapped in the Blood Moon to give off the illusion that their dark influence is dripping through the moon and onto the world even if they're imprisoned. It's like the blood they've spilled from their conquest of the realms is now seeped through their prison. Ooh, good stuff. I made sure the droplets were directly above the Shadow Dojo to make it look like the falling blood was either forming the shape of the dojo or covering it entirely. It almost looks like a bleeding eyeball. Ooh, I like it. I also brought in images of blood splatters and blended them onto the Shadow Dojo. After a while, I added a glowing effect to the moon by adding a red solid color and setting it to linear dodge add. With the glow that the moon was emanating, that meant I had to add a highlight to the Shadow Dojo. Next was time to blend Ross and Jordana into the poster. I set the color balance of both of them to have a red tint and reduce their brightness and exposure. I added a hue and saturation layer to give them a highlight emanating from the moon's glow. I added both the Dragon's Rising title and a few images of the clouds to add some eeriness to the poster. I blended the different cloud images to see which one would fit the poster better. I settled on 2 and made sure that they were surrounding the moon. Next, I painted a dark layer over the poster to give it a vintage feel. I also painted a red layer over the moon and the red mist to highlight the red glow. I decided to add a red gradient over the Ninjago text. I was concerned that the sides of the poster weren't full, so I added an image of Destiny's Bounty and an image of Cloud Kingdom to see how they would look. After a while of looking at them, I decided that they didn't look good, so I got rid of them. I added my signature on the top of the poster and messed with the cloud images again. After darkening the red gradient of the Ninjago title, I decided to take the poster to the camera raw filter, and I was still not really satisfied with how it looked. I showed my dad what I had done so far, and he said,
"Well, why not increase the shadow of the moon to add more blood and make it more symmetrical?"
"Why didn't I think of that?" So I took my dad's advice and added a larger circle to make the shadow of the moon and the Forbidden 5 bigger. This also meant that I had to increase the drops of blood, but I'm not complaining. I later added another image of the blood drops, but didn't keep it all because it would have looked too messy otherwise. After I was as satisfied as I was going to get, I took the image to the camera raw filter once again, and after a few more adjustments and an oil paint filter, I was finally done. I don't know what I was thinking with this one. I've definitely taken the blood in the blood moon and dialed it up to 1,000,000. I guess I just have a twisted mind when it comes to fantasizing about my favorite franchises. I think it's safe to say that this poster would be too dark for Ninjago's marketing campaign. It's probably better off as a poster for an R-rated fanfiction. I'm not too crazy with the final result, but hey, at least I brought my imagination to life, and sometimes they sound better on paper, but that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to follow me on my social media platforms. As always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!